Chapter 11, Never Again. Never again will I allow the enemy, the deceiver, to occupy space in my brain and influence the way I think of myself. This statement, along with many others, sounds so simple. Once you have recognized that something is negative or influences you towards darkness instead of light, it needs to be eliminated. In earlier chapters, I've addressed some of these negative thought patterns that were stuck in my brain for years. I knew this was going to be a difficult chapter for me to write because getting the record player in my brain to play a different song has been very challenging. I struggled with it this morning. I went to the city of Boise to handle some paperwork for a building permit. The first thing I said to the young lady helping me was, I realize all of these items can be done online, but I am not very good at technology, and I really struggle with figuring out some of this. After I left the city and relocated to an outdoor venue where I could write my thoughts, I replayed the scenario in my head, and it was the exact opposite of what I'm writing this chapter about. Writing a chapter on how to eliminate the negative thought patterns and stories that we've not only told about ourselves, but that we've began to believe is exactly what I was doing all morning. The items required by the city are quite simple. In fact, to suggest that every other contractor in town can work within the system and I can't is absurd. The reality is, it took me 40 minutes to ride my bike to the city, speak with someone, and then leave. I'm guessing that if I would have sat down, read the instructions on the email, I could have accomplished the task in less than 10 minutes. Instead of trying or even opening the email, I just went to the city because I believed that this was a task that somehow I was incapable of performing. Part of the reason I'm writing this book is because I'm still struggling. There's no better way to overcome your issues than to write a book about changing your life. If one believes a story for long enough, it turns into the truth. Never again will I allow the enemy to have a voice that shapes the way I think of others. This particular statement is not only vital for one's sanity, but for the health of any community. The enemy wants us to look at people, make snapshot judgments, put them into a category, and move on. The problem is once people have categorized someone or developed a thought pattern about them, changing it becomes quite difficult. I've heard it said that it is 10 times harder to convince someone they've been lied to than to convince them of a lie. The enemy will take one bad experience or information seen online and use it to form thought patterns and emotions towards people, towards religions, towards whatever group is considered other. This toxic voice that shapes our opinions of others must be captured. The roots of these weeds must be dug out. I was reminded recently of the time where people were changing travel plans because of a few stories they had heard coming from another country. The narrative put in the news by a few outlets and then repeated changed the way an entire country and the people of it were viewed. To think that we have news in Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, LA, Seattle, Portland, giving safety advice on areas of Mexico is quite laughable. Some of them said to not travel. Well, I've been to the areas in Mexico they were warning against, and I guarantee you it was much safer there than areas of our largest American cities. You must not allow the voice of the enemy to shape your opinion of others. Never again will I allow jealousy or envy or greed to influence my path or the direction I go. Statements like, it must be nice. How did they get so lucky? I wish I had those parents. Must be nice to be smart. Must be nice to be tall. I wish I looked like them. If I only had money. I challenge you to find something that was given or unearned that carries as much feeling or as much joy as something that is worked for. To wake up in the morning with purpose, to be excited to go to sleep because you can't wait to get up the next day and live life. To be annoyed as the sun goes down because you wanted to get more done. There's a very fine line between recognizing excellence in others and emulating the positive qualities about them and allowing that to cross over into jealousy or trying to figure out shortcuts to obtain their level of success. There are no shortcuts when it comes to mastery. Individual accomplishment is something that must be earned. Some people simply have money because their family put in the 10,000 hours, and they are the beneficiary of it. But don't confuse the joy of money given to the joy of money earned. The same can be said with any talent. Someone who forms habits of excellence that lead to an accomplishment find much more joy in that than someone who is born at a high level and never improve upon their gifts. Never again will I allow the approval of others to be more important than the instruction of the Almighty. Because our life has a path and a plan. Living through the approval of others will always leave one wanting more. Never again will I allow pride to be louder than the truth. I am hungry for the truth. To swallow one's pride, to admit that you are wrong, to humble yourself. What if I told you the breakthrough you're looking for is on the other side of the thing you're not willing to do? What if I told you the relationship you so eagerly desire to repair is on the other side of you saying, I was wrong? What if you did the right thing regardless of what they do?